What's up guys, this is Andong. Last week we took a very close look at Berlin-style Döner Kebab and I even tried to make one myself. Let's just say it didn't go very well. In fact, some of you even sent me messages asking me what the heck just happened. Guys, relax, it was just a very first attempt. It's called establishing a baseline, okay? Now we're gonna fix that mess piece by piece and we're beginning today with the basis of it all, the bread. Let me show you something. Oh, by the way, this video is sponsored by Squarespace, your all-in-one platform for building a beautiful online presence. More on that later. Now. So if you happen to live in Germany, then you're in luck and you can make life a whole lot easier for yourself because every Turkish grocery store here will sell not just Turkish bread, but actual döner bread, like the stuff that would get used in a döner kebab here. Now I understand that's not the point of this video, but at least it's gonna help us to see exactly what it is that we're going for. Check this out. This is it, a real deal Döner Kebab bread, tried and tested. A quarter slice of this is exactly what you'd use to make a classic kebab in Germany. It is extremely pillowy and light. The crust is very soft, and if we slice it open, you can see how ridiculously airy it is inside. It has this amazing chewy texture and of course the wonderful aroma of a fresh yeasted wheat loaf, refined with a bit of sesame and fragrant black cumin. I've baked quite a bit of bread in my life and I can already tell that getting this type of super open crumb in a home setup is gonna be very tricky, but I do believe that we can get pretty close. Here's the thing though, when I started researching this recipe, there's something I noticed. There are basically two schools on how to make Döner Kebab bread. Some people suggest that you should use an enriched dough, meaning you add some extra fat or protein into a basic dough. And others, they like to keep it pure. To be very honest, I definitely have my doubts about adding extra stuff into a döner bread because it seems so basic, but I just had to find out for sure, and so I did. Here it is. Flour, yeast, and salt are the foundations of this dough, but I also added sugar, a whole egg, as well as butter and oil to the dough. It felt very smooth to the touch, and I let it rest for about half an hour after kneading to get it started. After that, I shaped it into a ball, lightly greased its surface, and dusted the bottom of my loaf with cornmeal. We give the dough a final proof for at least 1 full hour, after which it indeed looked nice and puffy. To give the bread its classic shape, I pressed a few dimples into the dough with my wet fingers. Following my reference recipes, I then brushed the bread with egg wash and of course I coated it liberally with white sesame seeds and sparingly with black cumin. Now this guy will bake for around 10 minutes at 250 Celsius, that's full blast from my oven, until golden brown. I gotta say it looks quite pretty, but right away I can tell this is one heavy beast of a bread. An important step in making this one is also wrapping it in a kitchen towel while it's still hot and resting it like that until cooled down. This way the bread will steam itself and we prevent the formation of a crispy crust. Very counterintuitive, isn't it? Normally we work hard to get a good crust and here we're working against it. Anyhow, I sliced this guy open and my suspicions were confirmed. This is not what a döner bread looks like. It's quite dense and cakey, also quite firm, but to be honest, to be fair, it is actually very delicious. Almost brioche-like, just way too rich and very far off from what we need in this case, except for maybe the sesame seeds, those were good. And so we need to start from square one. So my working assumption for now will be that we're dealing with a pretty straightforward flour, water, yeast, and salt dough, but probably with a few added like industrial leaveners to get it so puffy, because honestly that is not normal. The döner bread I bought earlier in this video was actually sold bakery style, meaning just the bread in a bag, no ingredients labeled. So not that much help there. But then I remembered that I actually saw this type of bread in a regular grocery store before, so I went and checked. That was actually very revealing. There is indeed some magic going on behind the scenes. One ingredient particularly caught my attention, which was bean flour. Never heard of it before, but I did find it online. Actually, let me show you. This is what... That was so dumb. This is what it looks like. It says that you add 10 to 100 gram per kilogram of flour to improve the texture. We'll see about that. Now listen, there's also been this really interesting development. I had found this video shot at an industrial Turkish bakery where this guy makes this amazing, beautiful döner bread. It looked perfect, just the way we need it to look. And you could see the entire process. However, that video has been taken down since. Coincidence? I don't think so. Fortunately, I did take notes though, so here is the exact process. Now, first of all, that guy used a big-ass industrial dough kneading machine, but I have a trusted and very powerful tool to simulate that. So to my flour, I am adding 5% of its weight in bean flour. That's just my addition. The guy in the video did not actually do that. Now I slowly drizzle in cold water, and after realizing I forgot to put the lid on, I eventually end up with a very wet 70% hydration dough. I let the machine knead and hydrate the flour on low for 4 minutes, after which I set the machine to high, add my salt with a bit of water to help it dissolve, and then I finally add in my fresh yeast, piece by piece, into the machine, letting it knead vigorously for another 14 minutes. I know this technique seems kind of weird, but this is actually exactly what I had seen in that video. You should end up with a very sticky dough like this, which I am now trying to give a bit of structure by slapping it on the counter and folding it over itself. That's just to help me get it in a greased bowl to relax for 10 minutes. Now, get it out on a working surface, dust it with something coarse like corn flour, form a ball, dust the bottom of said ball generously in corn flour, and now we let it take a good nap for at least 1 full hour. And you know what? That kind of growth was actually a little unexpected. Oops. Anyhow, I did what I could, sprinkled it with sesame seeds and black cumin, and almost forgot to press in those dimples. There we go. Now, I think this looks extremely promising, and while this guy is in the oven, let me tell you about this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Remember, I am setting up a website that I want to eventually become the ultimate guide on how to make Döner Kebab at home. Squarespace makes that incredibly easy for me. Last time I already set up one of their beautiful modern templates, added content and a mailing list, and that all just took me a few clicks. Now I have our new Döner bread recipe from this video, and adding that to my website was literally a matter of seconds. So if you feel like sharing something like your favorite food or your favorite recipe with the world, why not start a completely free trial at squarespace.com, and once you're ready to launch your new website, head over to squarespace.com/Andong to save 10% off your first purchase. And now let's get that bread out of the oven. So 12 minutes later, I can confirm, wow, that looks really, really good. I mean, come on. Wrap it in a kitchen towel for softening, and a few hours later, I was ready for the big reveal. Ooh, much, much better. This crumb is nice and airy, the bread is soft and bouncy, the texture slightly chewy, no hard crust. This is actually pretty neat. And by the way, I'm sure the bean flour didn't hurt, but I'm also positive that you can get a very similar result if you just skip it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this homemade version is still a bit denser than the store-bought one. But overall, and especially in terms of flavor, this is not just delicious, no, this is a Döner bread that really deserves its name. Make sure you're subscribed and the bell is on, guys, because in the next installment of the series, yes, we are tackling the notorious Döner Kebab meat. This might take me a few weeks of research, or it might not, so I'm gonna see you there.